No, this is the second time this week I've started my fucking shows on mute. Welcome back, everybody. Dead Red Podcast back again for another Thursday. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Anyone tuning in, Twitter, Sox Arizona's YouTube channel, and also my YouTube channel as well. All the links in terms of channels you need to subscribe to are in the description. I recently just updated that yesterday on my, semi day off, at like 3:00 in the morning. But shout out to Tony. Shout out to Brad. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. The regular season is over for MLB. Give us your first thoughts.
Hey, man, it was a good season for the Sox. For the most part, it's always nice to have them there with us through the summer. And now that it's over, we're looking at the postseason. There's a lot of ups and downs this year. We'll get into it, but pitching's got to change. We knew that was going to be an issue coming in this year. There's a lot of question marks on the offense. JD, Xander, Rafael Devers. We'll see how the offense looks next year, but we will talk about it soon. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. My Yankees are in the playoffs. I don't have to watch them for a few days and keep my eyes focused on the New York Giants. We'll see if they win, of course. Can't you stay muted, Alex? But what's the fun in that, Brad? Brad's always knocking my chops. He tunes in from Australia, so I have to be generous. And he's a loyal supporter. As much as he likes to bust my nuts about all the shit that I say and maybe mistakes I make. But that's Brad. He's also a Niners fan, so congratulations on your win on Monday, Brad. But let me ask you. I'm going to start out with something before we get to more in depth of playoff discussion. I mean, we also got NFL to talk about and some other things as well. Is it kind of a telling tale that Xander Bogaerts was hugging his teammates on the last day for the Sox?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was watching that game, last game, and I was surprised to see him pulled because we're still all unsure what's going on. But now that he gets pulled, kind of these farewell hugs, as you mentioned, I think it's still up in the balance. I don't think he really knows. He might be leaning one way or the other, and hopefully it's not with another team. But I think where everybody's positive that he's going to stay here with the Red Sox. But those hugs coming off the field, you don't usually see that unless somebody's actually done. Then that they're leaving their team. So we'll see. I hope he stays.
Yeah, I mean, I purposely hope he leaves just to give that false hope to us that he, could be available. But we know that's likely not happening. But the Yankees don't necessarily have to focus on free agency yet. They got to focus on the postseason, which they really haven't succeeded in. Now, Sox, let me ask you a question before we go into some other things as well. If you had to pick a team this postseason to root for, who would it be?
Off the top of my head, I'm picking Cleveland to root for. And
I should have guessed that one.
And I don't really think they stand much of a chance against Tampa Bay, but I like Cleveland for the most part. What about you? Other than New York, what would you say?
I've always said if the Yankees didn't exist for me, the Dodgers. They started out in Brooklyn, and I always like the blue and white mixture of colors. So they'd probably be my second choice, but obviously I stick to root for my Yankees, and obviously we'll see how the playoffs shape out. Commiserations on the wooden spoon. Are you saying that I should be beat with a wooden spoon for all my mistakes? Was that what we're getting to? You're all hard, Alex. Well, Andrew, aka Sox, what are your thoughts on JD signing a 2-year extension yesterday? Also, Red Sox thoughts on Red Sox interest in Josh Bell.
Yeah, man. I mean, JD is nice to see. He had that questioning moment as well yesterday. Nice to see that. There's been a constant talk about Josh Bell. I think Casas needs to be the guy there, but we'll see. We'll see where they go. It's been a rotation there for a while, so we'll see what Dahlbeck does. We'll see if they go with Casas as their first guy. So I think we'll be good with rolling with those two guys.
Shouts to Jets Mess in the chat. What is going on, man? So yeah, I said I would pick the Dodgers, and Sox, you texted me something the other day, and I think you might need to make a commemoration. You might need to make a little, clarification for the fans that we have watching, or they may watch later on. You texted me about the MVP race. Fill in the fans for us.
So here's my thing, and we're both Cop Hizzle fans. He's big on eating his crow, when it happens, and holding other people accountable when they make claims too. And we talked about the MVP race a while back here on the Dead Red podcast, and I took Ohtani, and honestly, I'm still going both ways. But I texted Alex and I was like, you know what, I regret what I took Ohtani the other week. It just blows my mind actually seeing the home run record be broken, this close to the Triple Crown, even though he sat in the final game. I told Alex if it was somebody on the Sox, I would just be in awe. I would be balls to the wall for this guy for MVP. So I don't blame you guys at all, and I'm here to eat my crow. I think he'll get it, and he deserves it.
If he doesn't get it, I'm telling you, the MLB is fixed.
Yeah,
and the writers are fixed. Shout out to Jacob Petruzzi. What is going on? As we go along, guys, prolonging the show is very important. So your questions, MLB, NFL, NBA, all that's going to help. Some content updates, at least for myself. Tomorrow we'll be streaming the Knicks-Pacers preseason game with Luca. Going to be on the call with Donald. I mean, I'll still be there, but those two are probably going to take, obviously the main call. And then Saturday is the Big Blue in the Bronx podcast at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be premiering, having a Packers guy on, and we'll obviously get more picks later on for the rest of the week. And one thing, just going to, throw it out here. Just because we had a week off doesn't mean we didn't, pick our teams. I've calculated records and all that. So we've been staying up with our teams. We've been staying up with our picks, even though we weren't on last week. So we wanted to keep you guys in the loop and keep our schedule and agenda in the loop. I'm sticking with the Blue Jays. Interesting. Didn't you just play them? Interesting one. Anyway, hey, Sox Arizona, you got to eat some crow for your beginning season rave about Jackie Bradley Jr. Are you going to eat crow about that, or are you just going to say, hey?
No, I'm just going to stick with, Jackie's my guy on that one. I don't know if I could eat the crow on that. I just, World Series champion, part of the killer bees in the outfield. And, he had a bad season. Hopefully he comes back, whether it's whoever he's with, and has a great season. I love my guy, Jackie Bradley.
Also, shout outs to Tony for sharing us out on Twitter. Obviously, he always includes me in stuff he talks about, whether it's some sort of record or whatever. You guys think Leo is active for this week in London? I would hope so.
Yeah, me too.
I would hope so. I think he'll be active in London this week. Another bad head injury tonight in the NGL. I think you meant NFL. When you talk football, can you touch on all the bad injuries happening and what do you think needs to be done? I'm going to give two off the bat, but we're going to get into it later on. Now that you brought it up, it'll be something we add on to the agenda tonight is concussion protocol. And the other I think you're talking about the Nyheim Hines concussion, Tony. And then the other thing being that they need to switch to all grass and fuck off with the turf. That's just where I stand on it. But let's go into it now. Obviously, we're going to have some awards. I'll present my Yankees roster prediction, and then we'll go into our playoff bracket. And I usually don't do the bracket challenge, but for the fun of the podcast, we're just going to throw out guesses because it's much more than the bracket challenge. It's how many home runs are going to be hit, in the postseason, and, we're going to throw numbers out there. So we're going to do it jointly on this podcast, amongst other things. Small recap of the season. Sox, what went right and what went wrong for the Red Sox?
Man, it's so tough, with such a good division. You were coming into it this year and it was going to be a dogfight until the end, and it ended up being that. Even Baltimore got in the mix, and we're like, man, they're this close to making the playoffs. For the Sox specifically, it was quiet offensively. What sticks out for me is JD Martinez. I think he only hit 11 or 12 home runs. I might be mistaken there. He had a quiet season, and it just kept rolling on. You're thinking, man, sometime he's going to break out of it. He never did. Xander had a good year, especially in the beginning. Obviously, Trevor Story, he got sick right when he got here and just wasn't there power-wise what we thought it was going to be. And there was a lot of that, a lot of rotation in the outfield, right field specifically. First base was really disappointing this year, especially Franchy Cordero. I hate that Benintendi trade even more now than I did, which is crazy. I thought that guy's power was going to show up, and it didn't either. On the pitching side of things, just unbelievable. Giving up 28 runs to the Blue Jays. We've lost by double digits to them like 3 times this year. Interdivision play was atrocious. These are things that have to be fixed because interdivision play is by far the most important games you're going to have, and a lot of them were at home. I mean, Core's got to figure out how to be better, and he said he will for next season. So I'm glad it's over, to be honest with you, Alex. It was painful for most of the year.
I didn't even touch on this. Shouts to our man, Jeffrey Jamestown baseball commissioner. Before we jump back in, and I know I'm going out of order here, thoughts on the NBA season being back? I see you got your Celtics hat on.
Yeah, man. And crazy enough, they played Toronto last night. I was like, wow, the NBA is already back. It seems like they just don't have an off season. I'm excited for it. I don't know if the Celtics are going to be ready to go with all this head coach stuff going on, but I'm all in for them all season. So we'll see.
Who did they promote to head coach?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I have no idea.
Wow. So I'm just looking up some stuff on the Red Sox, and then I'm going to continue with the, why the Yankees season went right and wrong, and a couple of different aspects. Hein Bloom says Bogarts is the Red Sox top priority, as also with Rafael Devers. Now, you mentioned to me yesterday another thing, and it's not necessarily bad, but I guess in your eyes, emotional. Dennis Eckersley is not doing another Red Sox game. You want to talk about that a little bit, give some background?
Yeah, good point. It was just, one of the guys that's always been there, it feels like, ever since I was growing up. So many Red Sox memories. We talked about this with Jerry Remy, passing away. We talked about that on the episode. It's been tough, Red Sox booth losing 2 legends like that, and baseball's so emotional, and these guys really bring the personality to the game. I feel like we don't talk about that enough, It's a real human aspect to the game, and these guys really, they make people laugh. They make people have a good time watching the games, and now both of them are gone. So we'll see who steps up. Dennis Eckersley, you get old, you get old, and these guys have a life to live after baseball. So he's not just retiring from the game now; he's retiring for real. So I hope him the best, and it was a pleasure listening to him for all those years, man.
Jeffrey says, Alex, will you be doing the Sunday morning football game? Just asking. Well, thank you for the question. The answer, unfortunately, is no, because I have to go in. I leave my house at 11:30, and the game starts at 9:30. So I'm glad I get to watch the first half. The second half, a portion of it, I'm gonna have to watch on my phone while I'm being driven to work. So that's just kind of the way I'm doing things. Whatever. And also that's kind of the way, just some story in the background, whatever is, usually when it's a Sunday 1:00 game, I usually watch the first half at work while I'm doing my work. And then my mom usually takes a shopping trip, and then we go home. So I'm usually at home in time for like the mid third quarter, fourth quarter, but I've also NFL Plus. So it's not like I can't rewatch the game. It's good because NFL Game Pass is $100 a year. NFL Plus, I only need to watch games that, I maybe didn't see something in the first time I watched it. Nolan Arenado might be a free agent if Devers doesn't sign him. I'd like to see him with Story in Boston. That's intriguing, actually.
Yeah, the defense would be just unbelievable. It doesn't get better than Nolan Arenado. I'd like to see Devers stay. I just like that. Once you go with a guy, I want to see him. I want to stick with him, But obviously, Arenado, anybody would like him on their squad.
Yeah, you look at Arenado, he just provides a little bit better defense, but Devers is a younger cat, so that's kind of why you want to do that. Obviously, you just mentioned, let's see, Joe Mazzulla is the Boston coach this year. for the Celtics. So thank you, Jeffrey. Always providing the good factoids for us. But is Arenado on a club option or is he general free agent, Tony? I might want to take a look. But if he's a free agent, I don't know. You know what's funny, though, as well, is I don't see this at all. But then again, Tony could be right. He sees Aaron Judge signing with the Cardinals.
Interesting. Okay.
Let me read his predictions because we always love our input from their input, in terms of the fans. So he says Judge ends up a Cardinal, and knowing that, so it is a club option. I don't see, unless they want to spend less money, I don't see why they wouldn't, cut Arenado or at least decline the option, because he had a really good year this year.
Yeah.
So his second prediction, and this is because he's an Orioles fan, no surprise. Jacob deGrom and Justin Verlander go to Baltimore.
Okay.
I don't think Justin Verlander is leaving Houston.
I don't think so either, but I do see Baltimore making some moves, man. They proved that they were in it to win it this year. So yeah, Jets, man, it's been a long day. I haven't eaten. So yeah, it's snack time.
I had a big fat dinner earlier in the city, but
yeah.
That was some good stuff. But so his third prediction is Nolan Arenado ends up with Boston if they can't sign Devers, which Tony already covered. Okay. And then number 4, Trey Turner to Baltimore or New York. If for the Yankees, I don't see that happening. Baltimore, let's see, Trey Turner, shortstop, second base. Yeah, potentially.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, we're also looking at, is it going to be a salary thing for the Orioles? What are they going to focus on? Because I think they need offense more than anything. Their pitching staff is really good.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask Sox Arizona his thoughts on the Orioles season.
Man, I'm impressed with them. They're like the little brother of the division. They've been like that for a long time. I like to see the Orioles win, and I think I mentioned it. Like the Orioles, I always root for them because they've never been really a threat. So. If there was a team in the AL East that I'd like to see go, it would be the Orioles by far.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because we had our call-in show on, Sunday. We had a call-in show on Sunday, and Tony came on. And then him and Donald started having a little rivalry about the Orioles. And this goes back to when Tony appeared on Donald's other podcast, Pinstripe Chronicles.
Okay.
So, what was I going to say? He started referring, meaning Donald, he started referring to the Orioles as the irrelevant franchise. And then them two just kept going on at it. But it's all fun and games. And of course. I remember on Monday we were talking about something along the lines of baseball. And Tony's like, because we were referencing Aaron Boone, Tony's like, well, nice guys always finish last. I'm like, Tony, to be fair, the Orioles have been the nice guy for the last few years in the division. So
they have. We're the nice guy this year.
Well, for this year, yes.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting next year.
Yeah.
Yankee fans, Trey Mancini is a free agent. I want to say it's a mutual option, though. So I also got to think about that because this fan base loves Anthony Rizzo, but at the same time, he's had some really bad back problems and he's getting up there in age. Right. So, for Tony to answer, I guess, because he's an Orioles fan and he saw Mancini play enough there. Does he have really good defense at first? I know Rizzo, obviously, he's getting up there in age. He's still got the power. He doesn't really hit for average, but I wouldn't mind seeing Mancini in a Yankees uniform, but I just don't think that for some reason that the Yankees are going to, go in that direction. Now, I think I found this out recently, which I think is funny in a way. Okay, never mind. Because I originally thought a few days ago that Plawecki, y'all had Plawecki earlier in the season. And I originally thought he signed with the Astros. I'm like, did the Astros really get the catching core of the Sox? But no, he's with the Rangers now.
Okay.
Y'all designated him for assignment. Rizzo's not opting out. He won't get as much money as if he stays. It's a very good point. That's another first base option for Boston. Yes, he has a Gold Glove first baseman. As I said, that's a good option. I'm not necessarily doubting that, but here's my thing.
They want somebody young.
Mutual option. You were saying Sox?
The Red Sox want somebody young at first base, and for the most part, they bring in Hosmer for a little rental, but I don't think they're going to go in that direction. I love Mancini, man. I really do. I just think it's a little past his time especially for one of these teams to pick him up.
Yeah, and referencing to you wanting somebody to be the guy, Tristan Cass has batted 197 this year, and he also finished off the last 15 games with the 286 average. Some of that shit coming against the Yankees. So, um, I guess the way we kind of looked at Oswaldo Cabrera first is, he started hitting like 194 in the big leagues before he started getting hot and hitting all those home runs. And what Aaron Judge, that's kind of like what Aaron Judge did his rookie year 2016 before it was his actual quote unquote rookie year with the service time, is he hit 194, but everyone was just so excited about the future. I mean, do Red Sox fans feel really good about Cassis?
Yeah, I mean, ever since he started, it was just all about how he can get his hands around to the fastball. He can hit the ball the other way. So I feel it's the same way. They're going to struggle. For Bobby Dahlbeck, it was a little bit different because he came on and was started hitting home runs right away and kind of phased off. So maybe we're on the right trajectory here with him struggling a little bit. 194 to start. You said 280 something to end the season. Maybe we're on that point. That'll be a fun start to next year.
Yes. Josh Bell would fit Yankee Stadium very well. Yes, he would. That's another option if for some reason Rizzo were to opt out. Did you guys see the concussion tonight in the Denver-Indianapolis game? I didn't see it. I heard about it, though. So I know that will definitely be a topic down the line that me and Sox get to probably within the second hour of the show. I would prefer a lefty first baseman if that's someone like Rizzo or even a guy like Josh Bell. Yeah, I mean, listen, the short porch favors lefties. It's pretty damn obvious. But once again, thank you all for commenting. It really helps get through the show and stuff like that. Fair point. I really just want to see Boston improve the AL East. It's too good to have a team struggle the way they did this season. Fair point. We are one of the more competitive divisions in baseball, and I think we were the first best division in terms of having teams over 500, with the Red Sox the only one below 500. And I think the second was the East and the National League, of course. And then, obviously you fluttered down from there. But I kind of agree with Sox. I never saw the Orioles as a threat, and I really don't see them as a threat. And even this year, they really didn't play that well against the Yankees. They won one game up in the Bronx. So to be respectful, they have to do a little bit better to challenge us.
Yeah, I wonder if the fans actually feel like a threat. I wonder if Tony probably has more of a touch inside of Baltimore's fan base. Like, even after this year, I don't see them doing anything next year, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Jacob says, I could see Mancini re-signing with Boston or going back to Baltimore. I would bet on the fact and the chips that Houston keeps him because, once again, it is a mutual option. And obviously, they really don't have an option at first base. Yuli Gurriel is like 37, 38, 39 years old. You really keeping that? I don't think you are. 7-12 versus the Yankees, 13-6 versus Boston. Wow. So as we talked about, as Sox touched on, no good for the Sox against divisional.
Last year, the Yankees killed Baltimore. I think Baltimore only won like 2 or 3 games against the Yankees last year.
Yes, something along those lines. They totally beat up on them, but we did. I think we lost the season series to the Rays, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The only counter I have is the amount of talent they have coming up. Balt is loaded with the future. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have a first base guy. Obviously, their catcher's Adley Rutschman. They have an infielder by the name of Gunnar Henderson. Their pitching's already really good. So it's just how much they want to spend and how much they think they have potentially in the system. I mean, that's every major league team. But when you're looking at a small market team like the Orioles, that's a question that, obviously comes into factor. The hell was I going to ask? Anyway, 2-7 versus the Yankees last year, 1-18 versus the Orioles last year. Holy shit, dude.
Damn.
Oof. But let's see. All right. Now I gotta go into what do you call it? Now I gotta go into what caused the season to go right for the Yankees and what caused the season to go wrong for the Yankees. So what went right? I think Aaron Judge was one of the first things that went right. And, I've said it for a while, whether it's on my show or NYY News TV, I will continue to critique this front office until we win a championship. I'm not talking about the players. I'm not talking about the team and its inner self, but the front office, because they need to show me that they're serious. Aaron Judge was a non-move, obviously. So, yeah, if you didn't see, this kind of caused a scrum on Twitter last night. You're one of the most active, so you probably saw it. But I definitely will get to Nestor. So Aaron Judge, 62 home runs. Even if he didn't get 62 or he got 61 or 50, still a great season, a historic season for Aaron Judge that will get him paid within, in my opinion, the $35 to $50 million range. Is one of the highest paid players in baseball. Now, is he going to hit 62 again? Not likely.
I heard that he saved 125 million, or he's going to get 125 million more dollars just by, holding out on that contract, that first one that they gave him. That is insane.
I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see. It was $300 million over 8 years. Let's do the math. 300 divided by 8. That's about 30. I want to say maybe it was 213. So,
okay.
I want to say it was 213 because everybody's saying 300 over 8. So it was 213. That's $26 million a year. And what was that number you just spit out?
$125 million.
More. Okay, so $125 million more, which equals, I got to do math in my head. That's 328. 328 divided by 8. That's $41 million. So that's a significant jump. But once again, it goes down to what team's going to pay him. This, that, and the other thing. Will it be the Yankees? Will it not be? It's a tragic embarrassment and failure if they don't sign him in the offseason.
Yeah.
You will see me on this podcast and any other shows I have across my platforms. The Yankees should have re-signed Aaron Judge, not let him go to somewhere else. Without Nestor and Judge, the Yankees are in last place, not the Sox. I can't say they're in last place, but I also can't say that they wouldn't be fighting for a wild card spot. Nestor Cortez, he's probably one of the next guys I talk about. As people clowned our team on NYY News TV on Twitter for some comments we made back in April about Nestor Cortez. Not that I give a shit, but I'm glad I'm wrong. Nestor Cortez proved that his type of pitching is sustainable for the New York Yankees, and he was the ace of the staff this year. I'm not going to be afraid to say it. He was the ace of the staff, not Garrett Cole. He was the most consistent pitcher, and his little shindigs on the mound are, obviously cool with the locker room. And that's a good thing because, obviously I don't want to see my team miserable. I want to see my team have fun. So Nestor Cortez, the ace for the Yankees this year. Jose Trevino, obviously the Yankees really didn't have an offensive, catcher coming in. They traded for Trevino because of all the bullshit with Ben Rortvedt. And, they expected him, okay, defensive catcher, whatever. And he provided a little, spark offensively. I think he finished the year probably around the 250 mark. And he just called games better. He just called games way better than, Higgy did and, better than Gary Sanchez did. So he was, a significant improvement at the catcher position. Shouts the man, MH. What's going on? I'll get your comment in a second, Tony. I know you had a couple of them regarding Judge and Cortez. So Cortez is another one. I talked about Trevino. Let's see. Some other Joe Carlos Stanton had a nice start to the season. He kind of plateaued though when it came to the second half and the injuries. Pitching was good to start the season. The bullpen was good to start the season, but that stuff kind of dropped a little bit. So in terms of the bad, giving guys like Aaron Hicks and Joey Gallo valuable playing time, the pitching at the end, not very good. Tyon, he was pitching well to a point and then just dropped. Clay Holmes had a significant drop as well, as many people can remember. We traded Monty. That's not necessarily bad. Frankie Montas, I mean, he's been just straight up terrible for the Yankees. And, one of the main organizational things we've been talking about for a long time is taking off games. They arguably took the responsibility out of Aaron Boone's hands in June when that Astro series started to go really badly. Obviously, I was there for the no-hitter, and I was also there for Nasty Nestor Night, 2 games in which they lost. But then they just took away the responsibilities. Boone turned into a puppet again, and we finished 35-35 in the second half, which is not a good record to have. We should have had this division by a little bit more. I'm not going to sit here and, say different. We should have had the first seed, but maybe the Yankees front office thinks that taking off games is better than winning it all. And you remember that 1 year Sox where the Guardians had like a 20-game win streak and that burned out in playoffs? Maybe that's the way they're thinking.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'm just not a fan of taking off games. So
it reminds
happy
me
the Yankees won the division, but it's got to, our focus is on the playoffs now. Judge had a tremendous season. You were there for the Cleveland incident. Yes, I was. I was there for the Cleveland incident. For anyone who's new here or whatever, I'll re-explain before I get to some other comments. So obviously everybody knows the Miles Straw incident where fans were taunting him or whatever the story was, and he jumped up to left field and said, "Hit me, motherfucker. Hit me, motherfucker." That happened. And then what happened in the ninth inning was that the Yankees got a walk-off hit. I think it was IKF or Gleyber Torres. They had the walk-off hit. And then fans above my section just started throwing beer onto the field. The players were like, no, please stop doing that. But I still didn't like the fact that the Yankees didn't come out. And I wouldn't say defend their fans for doing that, but at the same time, he attacked our fan base by saying we're the worst fan base. And if we play them in the playoffs and for some reason, if I get tickets, it's going to be over for Miles Straw. I'm just saying that. You were there for or went over this one. What team is the bigger chance to upset, Rays or Phillies? Let's see. The Phillies play the Cards and the Rays play the Guardians. Well, I mean, the Rays should be favored, if anything. But if you're going to ask me, who less favored in that series has a chance to win more, I feel like I want to say the Phillies.
Yeah, I think the Rays are going to take care of Cleveland.
Yeah. So Tony says Rays, Alex, the ass of NYY News TV, and Big Blue in the Bronx. Well, if I was the ass of my own channel, then who's the head? All relevant questions here, Brad. Mets need to take care of Padres 2 straight. Yeah, listen, MH, you probably hear on Monday for John's spiel about the Mets. Just root for the Mets. Just root for the Mets. Make sure they win, because if they don't win, you'll be seeing John next Monday talk about them on the podcast, and it's not going to be a very fun time, of course. So that's that. Now, obviously, we did some awards at halfway point in the season. Now we're going to review that and do our own rewards again. So, Sox, and I know obviously your team wasn't very good. Cy Young of your team.
Michael Wacha, man. I freaking love that guy. And there's a question of whether or not he's going to be back next year, but really the anchor to this team. And I was lucky enough to see him in Anaheim pitch a complete game shutout and against a healthy team too. So what he was able to do, day in and day out, he had, I think, the lowest ERA on the club. I'll pull it up right now, but finally one of those guys that we were searching all year for. It was like a puzzle to go in and have a solid outing, hold a team under 5 runs, and he did it. And I'm happy with what Michael Wacha was able to do this year.
Yeah, I just also want to let everybody know, I just realized this because I was looking up something on the other end. We are 19 subscribers away from 700. So let's get there soon. I've been doing a lot of YouTube shorts to work on that. Big Beat reactions, all that stuff, all those links, they're into the description. So go subscribe to all those channels. It's definitely worth your time. In terms of my team, the Cy Young, I'm going to go with Nestor Cortez, someone who I talked about earlier. Most consistent pitcher. He's even, fun with all this, mustache stuff and all the moving around. And I know the umpires tried to ban that, but he was the most consistent pitcher. He was more of a number one than Garrett Cole most of the season. And that's pretty much what I got to say about that. Not much more to add. He was an all-star, probably his best season. And he's I don't want to say a glorified Rich Hill, but he's a modern Rich Hill because it's not just the fastball, it's all the other shit that he does. And, you think of other pitchers in their prime, like Zach Greinke, he's turned to a filth ball pitcher. Rich Hill, I just talked about. There's a couple other guys that you could add in there. So my Cy Young has to go to Nestor Cortez. It could have been Clay Holmes, but he dropped off tremendously, and it's been really bad.
I will say about Michael Wacha real quick. I know we talked about him already. He pitched in 23 games, went 11-2 with a 3.3 ERA. I mean, that's our anchor by far. Pitched 127 innings, 104 strikeout.
Yeah. So, with that being said, well, he says Luka is the man. Well, we know how much you like Luka, Brad. I'm the only fan who cares about this, but it disturbed that the only two players in all baseball played in 162 games, Dansby Swanson, Matt Olson played 162 games. Wow. And you know what? That tells you something. That tells you something, Tony. Which team does both of those play for?
Yeah.
That's an old school manager right there. That's why Brian Snitker gets where Brian Snitker gets. That's why, because you know what? You take a look at the Braves, they are under-talented. But they bring up these guys. They trade for Matt Olson. That's why they're in the playoffs year after year. That's why they were able to beat the Mets. Listen, I get it. Injuries happen, whatever. But we've gotten to a time in sports history and baseball where guys don't stay healthy that long. But Matt Olson, who's a power hitter, how many power hitters in the last few years have stayed healthy under 62 games? Not many. Dansby Swanson, he's had a good year. He's going to be a free agent. I mean, let's just say, I don't know, the Orioles were looking for a shortstop, or maybe, I don't know, the Red Sox, for instance, were looking for a shortstop. Availability and dependability, both those things, now that you just mentioned, with Dansby Swanson, teams definitely look up towards that. Now, I don't think Xander has an injury history, but once again, it's not looking likely that he comes back.
I mean, Xander still takes days off. He gets tweaks here and there, and we're dealing with it in all of sports. That's a good time. It's a good point that you made. Is look at our football team, man. I mean, we had the anchor at Eli every single year, every single snap, and now we had two quarterbacks get hurt in one day. It's all around sports.
Right, and there's not many teams and there's not many players that can do that anymore. I mentioned Brian Snitker. He's an old school manager. He's going to make sure, his guys play the 162. It's not like it's an Aaron Boone or it's a Kevin Cash where it's an analytical type mindset where if a guy's hot, they're not going to play. Let's take a look at something real quick. And I'm going to bet that Aaron Judge played the most games for the New York Yankees this season. I'm going to look up the Red Sox in terms of games played this season. So Aaron Judge played 157, which was about 5 games short of the mark. So there's that. And then the Red Sox, their guy in terms of games played was Alex Verdugo with 152 with Bogarts 2 behind him.
That was my guess, was Verdugo.
But then again, once again comes the point. Not many teams, the full 17 for football, the full 162. I mean, Cano used to use the whole excuse that he wouldn't run out baseballs and ground balls because he wanted to play with full 162. That worked for a little while. Alex, get Sox a shoulder massage from having to carry you.
Oh my God.
Brad.
No. Listen, Brad, Alex does a good job over here, and this channel deserves way more subscribers than it has. So the best you can do is share it. I know you're just busting balls, but you guys just share.
Brad does a great job with sharing out. By the way, he shared us out earlier.
Yeah, man, get this guy up here, and we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, But funny comment, Brad. He definitely does bring the funny insults. Moving on, MVP of the team.
Oh my goodness. It was a tough year offensively. I don't know if we can go out and hand out an offensive MVP this year because it was just a wild ride. I mentioned JD was quiet. I mentioned Story, which that was just disappointing. I thought that was going to be a big part of this offense, and Xander was consistent this year. I like his consistency. It's tough to give out an MVP when you're finishing last place in your division. But I'm going to go ahead and give Michael Wacha another award here and give him the MVP. Going 11-2. I mean, Devers is the guy. Okay, listen. The defense, him throwing the ball around sometimes really worries me. And that's why the Red Sox are questioning him at third base. Going 11-2 on the mound that's an anchor. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Michael Wacha.
All right. So, I mean, do we really have to talk about who's MVP for the Yankees?
I mean, we can just skip it if you want. I'm just kidding. Go ahead and rant about Aaron Judge for a second.
Yes, let's go on the little rant. It's obviously Aaron Judge. 62 home runs, an OPS over 1 the entire season, and I'm not very good with the analytics. But, I mean, what more do you want from the guy? When we had center field issues, guess what? He moved to center field. When we had no protection in the lineup, guess what? He moved up in the lineup. He moved to first in the lineup. But people, and listen, people wanted to give up on him early in this. I have receipts, okay? I have receipts. People don't know that. I have receipts from people who called Aaron Judge a cocksucker, who, said he should be gone and all this other shit. But I can't say I was on that train. I really can't. Because I rooted for the guy for the entire season because I didn't want to homer the Yankees. I didn't think the Yankees were fucking paying him or offering him that much. And then they used the negotiations against him. But guess what? He bet on himself and broke records. And he shattered that 61 record. Now, let me ask you this, Sox. All honesty, I want to get your gauge on this. And chat, please feel free to intervene as well. Who do you think is the real home run king? Barry Bonds or Aaron Judge?
Listen, and I don't know how Yankees fans feel about this. I think I was watching Pizzle's stream and he mentioned something about Bonds as well. Here's my thing. Bonds is the guy. I think there's no proof of Judge doing anything sketchy as far as PEDs go. I think Bonds was a good hitter before all that. I know the power obviously came probably from the steroids. He was a good hitter before that with Pittsburgh and all that. The record books show it, so the numbers don't lie. I'm going to go with Bonds. What Judge has done is unbelievable. And you know what? If he plays in 5-6 more games, who knows? He's only 10 home runs away. So anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, people forget this all the time, and you could talk about the steroids and all this other crap with Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and whatever. But they made baseball a lot of money, in which that baseball's never going to give it back, and they're not going to give the favor back because Bonds ran out of eligibility. I don't think Mark McGwire got in the Hall of Fame. So there's two things there. Sammy Sosa didn't get back in the Hall of Fame. Shoutouts to Cooper. What's going on? I haven't seen you before, Cooper. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. He loves Boston, so Sox obviously. He's got the Boston in the background. There's a little bit of the New York Giants. He's got the Red Sox. He's got the Celtics.
Welcome to the stream, Cooper. I appreciate you being here.
Yes. Like, subscribe to all the good stuff to both channels, Big Blue in the Bronx and Sox Arizona. And definitely ask some questions, man. First time seeing you here. We always love to welcome new viewers in the chat. But, that's just a question I wanted to ask. And I know people are saying, oh, well, the PEDs, this, that, and the other thing. I mean,
the baseball was, and baseball's big nowadays. I think they're trying to bring in younger viewers. It's obvious because, people are getting older and they want to bring a new audience in. But baseball was at its biggest when when that time was going on. The Sosa McGuire race, they was bringing in a bunch of revenue for baseball. And to be honest with you, I think they should let them do what they want with their bodies. I know it's a whole nother conversation to have, but I think there's more stuff going on than we find out anyways. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's great you were at the Red Sox game yesterday, Cooper.
Nice.
You played your last game this season yesterday, right?
Correct.
Okay. Just as I figured.
It was raining. Let's be fair. Shout out to Cooper for sticking through the rain yesterday. That wasn't a great game to be at.
Alex, the ass of NYY News. Well, that's just Brad being an ass, if you want to turn it. But Pete's the king. I mean, hell, Pete is the king of NYY News TV, though. I'll definitely give him credit. And to bust some chops, I'd like to congratulate Judge on being all alone in the 7th place on the single season home run list. I mean, Tony's Tony. Tony's Tony.
That's still impressive.
I appreciate everybody busting my chops. Luca the head. Well, how could you have a head and a king? Like, explain the process to me, MH. But we need Donald. Listen, those two know each other well, Donald and Pete. We've been to events together, but Donald, as much as Donald is a part of here, and he's also part of Pinstripe Chronicles. He's a well-known supporter of NYY News TV. So, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything because it's not my decision. But Donald would be a great fit for us. I forgot about this. Luca, the Ovaltine god. And speaking of Donald,
Ovaltine is disgusting.
Always have to pull it up every time. I'm wearing my Alex Verdugo jersey to school tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, you don't have to tell us, Cooper, but where do you go to school? Because you may be liked, you may not be liked, depending on, if you go to school in Massachusetts, you may have your, school like it a little bit more. But if you're like, in New York, it's a little sketchy. I'll sing it to Donald so he'll let Pete know about it. I can't listen to Pete do play-by-play. I miss Sox Arizona game calls all last season. People have different preferences. I mean, obviously, but definitely next year. I mean, definitely over the course of these next few months, we'll be doing some. He lives in New Hampshire, so people will like your jersey. Then.
Yeah,
that's generally the New England, that part of the country. I can't. I was going to say not that one, but yeah, definitely. I mean, I know Sox. Definitely wants to do more games next year. Maybe we'll do some spring training stuff as well, kind of get it out there a little bit more. And then also as well, football games, right? We're doing once a month here on the Dead Red podcast. This month it's going to be Ravens Bucks. So that's going to be a fun matchup and probably the most interesting matchup. And then next month we have yet to decide. And then likely, what do you call it? December is going to be the Jets-Jaguars game, depending on how the Jets do and all that stuff, because I know Luca wants to call that game and all that sort of stuff. Thank you, MH. This is so it's weird. MH, I don't know if you just made a Twitter, but I literally just got a follow from MH. It says Matt Hatton Music, so maybe it's you, maybe it's not. But anyway, for whoever that was, I appreciate the follow. Let's move on to most improved player or surprising player.
Devers wasn't surprising, but I'm going to give him the most improved. He had a good season 2 years ago. The defense has come a long way. I can't ask for more from the guy. That kid has come a long way for us. He's by far the offensive MVP, and he's come a long way. So he's the most improved by far.
Most improved player for the Yankees. I had to make a new one. Lost my password. All good, MH. Most improved player, surprising player. Even though I still don't like him to a certain extent, I'm going to go Gleyber Torres. Moved to second base. The Yankees obviously had that experiment for 2 years with him at shortstop. Offensively, he heated up towards the end of the year. He just played better defense at second than IKF at shortstop. And To be fair, I still want him traded because sometimes the light bulb can go off at any moment. You really don't want to take that chance. Plus, you got Ozzy Cabrera, you got Oswald Peraza, so there's a ton of guys you could choose from in your system or even go out in free agency and get. You really shouldn't be wasting a lot of time with Gleyber Torres. Not that you're wasting time with Gleyber Torres, but you don't want to take that chance, that light bulb going off. And he doesn't really have much of a baseball IQ, I must say. I know people will think that's weird to say that he doesn't have a baseball IQ, but sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Dennis Eckersley retired after yesterday's game. Sox said he was very emotional, unhappy about that, but everybody's got to move on. What Yankee hitter do y'all think will heat up under the pressure of the playoffs?
Anthony Rizzo.
That's one that has been talked about. Giancarlo Stanton's kind of an easy one. He usually heats up in the playoffs. I mean, he's been, dominant for the Yankees in the playoffs. Tony says Bader. Bader's definitely, a guy that could heat up for the playoffs. I would say Gleyber needs to rise up in the playoffs. If he wants to try to solidify a spot here at second base for the future, heat up in the playoffs, my man. Heat up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Gleyber. There was a couple of the guys I had in my head. Love that Champions banner in the background, and I also love the Celtics one too.
Appreciate that, Cooper. Yeah, man, go Sox. It's tough. We're not in the playoffs, but
hey, listen, even though the Sox aren't in the playoffs, it's always good talking about Yankees Sox. That's why we started this podcast anyway. But yeah, next award, comeback player of the year.
Oh, comeback player of the year. Well, I'm gonna go with Nasty Nate because even though he's always injured, he seems to have a breakout game every time he comes back, and his fastball always seems. He had a hit problem this year, which is tough. Pitchers driving off the mound. I'm gonna go with Nasty Nate. He's resilient as hell, and he seems to really like playing for us and gives it his all every time. So. We'll hopefully he stays healthy next year, and I love his gas. He throws 97 plus when he's healthy. Nasty Nate's my guy, so I'm gonna go with him.
I've always liked Nate Eovaldi. Yeah. He was traded to the Yankees. I want to say he was from the Dodgers, or he went to Miami afterwards. I forget. But yeah, I mean, I've always liked Nate Eovaldi. That's one of the players I kind of would steal from the Red Sox.
Right.
Agreed, MH, the last 8 years it's been that way. Let's go Jets. Red Sox, either last or first, no in between. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it's been. Yeah. I wonder, Sox, if it's the same thing with the AL East as the NFC East, where they haven't had a repeat champion. Let's take a look at that, actually.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Pretty interesting. So,
it seems like the two divisions do have some good parity.
I know Tony will probably beat me to the punch, but let's see. So, obviously, we're the Yankees this year. Last year was Tampa Bay, and 2020 Tampa Bay, so that kind of ends it there. But you could also say it's a COVID season. So 2019 Yankees, 2018 Boston, 2017 Boston, so that ends the fray there. So there have been repeat champions. It's just been between Yankees, Red Sox, and Rays. No Blue Jays, no Orioles, of course, because the Orioles have been the nice guy the last few years. I'll continue to beat that drum. I live 51 miles away from Fenway. That's nice, man. Go back 8 years. So he kind of beat me to the punch. But what was I going to say? For any of our football fans in here, the current score is 6-6 between the Broncos and the Colts. I am so glad we did not call that game because it seems pretty damn boring right now. With that being said, moving on, most disappointing player. Actually, you know what? I didn't even go over my most in my comeback player. I'd probably have to say, I would say Gleyber Torres because the same reasons. I mean, most improved, surprise, whatever. Better defense at second, better offense, especially first half. Let's move on to most disappointing. Sox.
I'm taking a look here, and it's tough because we could go with Jackie. You know, Jackie had high expectations, leaving for 1 year, going to Milwaukee. He didn't play well, and
Did
coming
he
back.
really have high expectations?
No, well,
Or was that you?
It might have been just me, and I'll admit that. But I don't think they just brought him here with low expectations. You know, they wanted him to be the guy in center field, and he wasn't just going to be the backup guy. You know, that's Jackie Bradley. That's your World Series champion center fielder right there. And not that he did much with that 2018 team offensively either, but you could go with Jackie, and for me, it's Bobby Dahlbeck, and I might have had some higher expectations for him too, but the guy just did not see the ball at all this year, making errors at first base. And good point by Tony there with Trevor Story. It's just it seems like everybody was quiet. JD with only 12 home runs this year. That's supposed to be your power hitter, the rock of the lineup, and it sucks. So we'll go with Dahlbeck or Jackie Bradley.
I'm gonna say Trevor Story. If I was to say the Red Sox, I would definitely say Trevor Story. Yeah, I would say Trevor Story because all the hype surrounding the Red Sox and Trevor Story. Most disappointing Yankee Hicks. Well, technically, if you want to go about this mindset, you can't be disappointed if you don't have expectations.
Yeah.
See, I predicted the Giants would be like third place.
Right.
I'm not disappointed at 3-1.
No.
Maybe if they went 2-2 or 1-3, I'm not disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any expectations. Gotta have that mindset.
That's a good point. I think I fall victim to that sometimes. And the story argument is good, but I mean he still had like 7 more home runs than JD, and that goes under the rug. So
all right. Most disappointing player for me. It's a toss-up between 3 people: Garrett Cole, Clay Holmes, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Because it kind of goes with the expectation shit again. Because he was supposed to come in here. At least we were told he was supposed to be this great shortstop, or at least a solid defensive shortstop. He was literal shit at shortstop. There's no denying that. You look at Garrett Cole, multiple blow-ups this year. He has an ERA above 3.5, I want to say, to end the year. Which, if you asked a random person on the street, and not a Yankee fan, not giving names, and I'm going to ask Sox, 13-8 with a 3.50 ERA. Is that an ace?
No.
That's not an ace. I'm just being fair. A good season does not justify $36 million. It's just basic facts, guys.
No.
So, enough with the homering for Garrett Cole. But also, Clay Holmes, he just fucking dropped at the second point of the season. I don't know what happened. He had that injury. He was known as this really good sinker ball pitcher, but he just kept putting himself in situations he couldn't get out of. Twice in the Brewers series. The Red series in the first half. So he's been really torn. I don't know what's been going on with him. Let's take a look, actually. Game against the Red Sox, he blew up. I remember. He's got a 2.54 ERA. So that's not bad in total. That might be his career best, but knowing what the second half was, it's not very good. I'm not going to be able to watch the Rays versus Guardians tomorrow because I will be in school. Is that a day game or is that a night game?
I'm not sure. I'll pull it up right now.
I would have to imagine that a night game, but
that's a day game.
That's a day game.
Man, that's 9 a.m. for me over here.
I don't get that because it's wild. Yeah, it's weird. It's legit
because there's
weird.
3 games. There's 4 games tomorrow. That's the only reason they want everybody to watch every game.
How can you watch when you're in school or work?
Yeah.
Just like put it on. I know it's hard, but put it on 4 separate networks: TBS, Fox. What other networks do baseball? TBS, TNT, maybe they've done baseball games.
Didn't they do True TV for a while for the playoffs?
They may have done True TV. Fuck, man, I feel like I'm forgetting one. Not ABC, no. ESPN. There's literally 4 networks we just named: TNT, ESPN, TBS, and Fox.
Yeah.
And it is what? There's nothing. FS1, that's another one. So you tell me, and it's not like, oh, there's football on tomorrow, and it's like maybe like college football that nobody gives a shit about for the lower divisions. But no, I just don't get that. And there's like rumors, at least beforehand, and I think it's supposed to be a night game now. There was rumors beforehand that the first divisional series game, the first divisional series game is supposed to be 1:00 for the Yankees. And that's not just because, the competition with the other baseball games, but because the Rangers have their home opener at 7:30 that night. So Dolan and competing and all that other stuff.
Makes sense. I'm looking at it right now. They're scheduled to play first for the division series. So
maybe you try to, maybe Cooper, and I don't want to be a bad influence here, but maybe you try to sneak it in. Just like if you're in school, you have it under the desk on a phone or something like that. I don't know. I mean, there's been times where I've had to do that in school. I mean, then again, we really didn't have streaming like it is now.
I used to do the old, with the MLB subscription, you can listen to the radio. So I would just listen to the radio broadcast in my ear during school.
Yeah. The way I did it, at least, as I said, there was no streaming towards the end of my high school career, but there were times actually where my teacher next door, who was my teacher for sports, entertainment, and marketing, he was the nicest guy ever. Free Sox Arizona Alex demotion. What did I do?
Damn, they're really coming at you today.
What the hell did I do? Hicks wins every bad vote. Yeah, Joey Gallo. I mean, maybe he's an add-on, but I don't know. But like we literally would watch spring training games in his classroom. Like there would be this section called pods or homeroom, or I don't know what they call it over there in California or even Arizona actually. But it was like homeroom. It was like after all your actual classes. And then when it would be like, I would say around 2 and 3 p.m. that, those classes took place. So I would literally ask my teacher, can I go to Mr. Strubinger's room for something? And then she'd say yes. Then I'd be watching the fucking Yankees-Tigers game next door. And he was a Mets fan.
Really?
Yeah, and it was weird because also the last day of school, he had us watching ESPN, Golick and Wingo, at least when they were a show. And this was the same dude. And, sometimes I'll reminisce about, my old school in Pennsylvania. Sometimes I won't because, it's weird. But this man literally would show us baseball shit, at least me and my friend Sean. He would show us baseball shit in the middle of a goddamn test. Like, we've been doing our test. Okay, we got to go from the textbooks and whatnot. He literally come over with his computer and show us, like, something from the Mets. So
that is awesome, man. He don't give a damn. Hey, he's like, check out this play, man. Did you see this play?
God, friggin', why does Sports Reference have ads? Fuck off.
That's awesome. I wish I had a teacher like that.
Yeah. Alex, I admire the sports experience you're getting in college. I just started writing for my school's sports section. Very good. Nice. As I said, those are some early ways to get into that stuff. And listen, if you need help with writing, send it by me. Because before I got into this shit, and I still, I'm proficient in the writing area. I've learned a lot. My ancestors were writers and people in literature. So I don't want to toot my own horn, but I kind of know what I'm talking about in that specific area. And I even was editing, papers, yesterday in English class. So, if you want to run anything by me, please just email me a link or whatever. But definitely that's something I didn't take advantage of in high school, even though a year and a half later, the pandemic happened. Like they had their own newspaper section. And I didn't really take advantage of it. But as I said, I would later go into all these blogs that I wrote for. So it was kind of a makeup. But don't also as well is a spot of advice, and maybe Sox would probably agree with me on this. Don't burn yourself out when it comes to those things, because as much as fun as all this shit seems, it can burn you out.
Yeah.
I'm going to be truthfully honest with you. I haven't written an article in about 3 months because that's all I did during the pandemic. Now, obviously I did this shit, and it's a little more worth it because you get your voice out. It's not just writing an article where it gets this many amount of views. You're actually like talking to people, and I'm not trying to downgrade writing, because writing is a very important part, and we need journalists, unlike these fucking John Heyman folks who all they write is spin for different organizations. But definitely don't burn yourself out. Take it day by day.
Yeah, I agree, man. I have 2 channels now, and I was going to school for journalism as well. I wanted to be a sports broadcaster, and this YouTube platform has given us a chance to really hone that in and do it. But I'll be truthfully honest. I burned myself out with Sox Arizona. I pretty much only do the podcast on that channel at this point. I want to continue to do more, but yeah, it's something you love. You want to continue to do, but just that's really good. That's really good advice. Don't burn yourself out.
Yeah. I got to do 2 articles per week. It'll get me, I understand, 500 plus words goes 500. I could, if I'm in a mode, and I like we're talking about this because it adds on to everything. If I'm in a mode, 500 words is like cake for me.
Oh yeah.
Now, my best advice, and I know that some people are early birds, some people might be night owls. I'm a night owl. My best mind is between 2 and 3 in the morning. I updated my links for subscriptions and stuff. Like, you'll look at it now for the people who are watching. You'll look at the description, actually. You'll notice that there's a shit ton of links there. Rob Barros' Twitter, Big Beat Reactions, NYY News TV. That shit was updated about 2:30 this morning. So, if you have free time, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but there's a lot of different people I know that their mind is best at like 2, 3 in the morning because everybody's asleep. If you don't have pets, they're not distractions. So, and obviously, I don't know that it would be prevalent to write for your school newspaper at 2 or 3 in the morning, but it's just as a thought coming from someone who's done it himself. And I'm not trying to rip anyone who does this, but kind of the thing, and I'm going to be fully transparent here, is the thing that deterred me from writing is not just writing itself, but the system we had to go through for like several blogs that I did. The WordPress is a weird way of getting your blog online and getting people to see it, unless you have, 50K followers and whatnot, whatever, and getting ads and AdSense and all that stuff. Like, for instance, there's readability, which isn't bad. SEO, which is probably one of the harder things in the world because you have to put a key phrase in an article. Let's just say I was writing Landon Collins returns to the New York Giants, which I'm very happy about, by the way, and I still have his color rush jersey. Let's just say that's your article, right? And you put in Landon Collins is the key phrase. There's a bunch of requirements it has to enter through. It has to be at the beginning of the title. It has to be at the beginning of the article in the first 1 or 2 sentences. It has to be listed an amount of times. And then also sometimes you can't use it more than once when you go, like, let's just say you write another article about Landon Collins, right? Maybe he has the game-saving interception against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, and you got to write about that. But what was I going to say? Maybe you write about that, whatever, and you use it again. Sometimes that actually can affect, and this is WordPress. This is, not much else, but this can affect, how your SEO, which is rankings and how people see it among Google. And it's kind of weird. So those are some, and also I'm going to be, once again, fully transparent because I like talking about this. I was a part, and in terms of administration wise, I was a part of 2 blogs before, I would say in the process of 2020. That shit burned me out because I dealt with a bunch of nonsense that was unneeded. And just being a rookie in that business wasn't for me. I knew I had the tools to look at people's articles and say, look, you need to get this shit right. But to a certain extent where you don't agree with somebody on a leadership standpoint or a business standpoint, your thing's not going to go much of anywhere. So
Right.
I'm just being transparent with you guys in terms of all this stuff. It's great that MH, obviously, you're doing some stuff. And it's great that we actually talked about this because sometimes we'll go off in tangents, but even just the small stuff like that, it prolongs the show. And it's stuff that we never thought of getting into.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
man. I mean, I want to talk real stuff on here too. You know, it's interacting with the viewers of this podcast is the best. And, you know, if a couple of guys that are into journalism can give a little bit of advice that helps out, that's freaking awesome, man. I love it.
MH, I just started the hashtag free Alex on his Twitter. Did you? Wait, why free me? But
see, I think Tony's taking your side here because everybody's like,
you know what? Yeah. Okay. So free Alex. Yes.
Free Luca.
Have you ever taken the tea in Boston? Have you? He's probably tasted. Have you ever tasted the tea in Boston?
I've never been to Boston, Cooper.
I've never been to Boston either. I would like to go there someday, though.
Me and Big Blue are going to meet up there for a Sox.
We're going to be. You know what? Either next year or the year after. I'm calling it right now. We're going to make it happen. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do a vlog. We'll do some live streams. Whatever we need to do. Trust me, it's going to happen, folks. Sox Arizona, his music channel is fire as well. Yeah, Sox does a great job with the music channel.
Appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate it. Tony's one of the great subscribers on that channel. If you guys want to see music reactions, we're going to get it back into it soon. I haven't posted one in a while, but we have a lot of fun over there. And Alex has one on the list here, so we're going to get to it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that you go over that because I'm not going to give any,
no spoilers.
No spoilers and that stuff. He's got to get to that Megadeth reaction.
I got you, Tony. I got you. Trust me.
Let me see if I missed anything before we go to maybe one or two awards. Then we're going to do our playoff bracket. Alex is a New York sports god. He doesn't need to be freed other than being friends with Donald. Oh, man. Oh, man. Tony's a funny guy. But yeah, Donald's cool, man. Donald is a cool guy, but I appreciate the comment, Tony. Oh, the T is the train that they call in Boston. Okay, no, I've never been on the train, never been to Boston, but as I said, next year, even though it's like the whole 32 team stuff, we're gonna try to. Me and Sox will try to get out there at the same time. Maybe get like an Airbnb or something.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
I'm gonna take a look, and now obviously we're not settling anything, but some notes, some dates to keep in mind for the Yankees, Red Sox, and Fenway. They play in June 16th to the 18th. And then for the second half of the season, they play the Red Sox September 11th through September 14th. So it's only twice in Boston, obviously, because of the whole 30-team spiel.
I think that June would work more with my schedule. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's summertime and it's not during the week and all that stuff. I hope I get to meet you guys in Boston. The 17th is my birthday. You know what? Hey, listen, Sox Arizona literally just said that would probably work out for me in my schedule. I said, hey, it's the summer, man. But
I think we should pull the plug on that one. That would be fun.
Yes, we gotta pump that in. We gotta link up for that, as they would say. Do the Orioles open with Boston next season?
I'm not sure. I was looking at a couple dates. I know the Red Sox are coming to San Diego, which is going to be awesome. I love when they come to Petco. They also will be in Arizona for 3 games. So I'll be seeing the Red Sox at least 6 times next year, which I'm excited about.
Right. So Tony is right. They do play against Baltimore at home to open up. So there's that. The 17th in June. Yes. That's, as I said, planning is, we've got months ahead to plan, but that seems like a set of dates that we're going to target for.
Yeah.
Trust me. And I appreciate it even more. Not that I appreciate everyone on a different level, but Cooper just came in here and he hopes to meet us in Boston.
I know. That's great, man. I love it.
As I said, keep an eye out for that date. This is my favorite podcast on YouTube. Alex just pumps out constant content. Listen, man, it's not for clicks or nothing in the end. I do it for you guys, getting more people to interact with and all that stuff. That's why I said, listen, we're 19 away from this channel has made a big jump over the years, and I'm going to say that with an actual being transparent, because we hit 100 subscribers, I think, in January of 2021.
Yeah, man.
And then you jump a year later, we've gained over 500 since then. So, and we've done a lot of different changes, right? I obviously ironed out my Big Blue in the Bronx podcast schedule. We jumped out with this when baseball came back in March. Boys in the Big Apple, having tons of guests on, call-in shows. So, I mean, it's only going to get better. And we've started calling basketball games. So, once again, it's only going to get better. And once we know hockey, listen, that's going to be a thing on the list too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know if I'll ever learn hockey, but once we do, we'll get on it.
Jets Smith says, we appreciate it, bro. Well, thank you, Jets Smith. But once again, he's another loyal supporter of the channel. I want to see if I missed anything. Then we could move forward. Better than watching that paint fry. Yeah, you got to like to watch a paint fry. This is still hilarious. I am in Vegas next week for the poker, staying at the Wynn. Tonight, the whole hotel shut down. Yeah, I heard about that. Sick people, man, in this world. I've been to 2 Red Sox games last season, 2 this season. So basically, I've been to 4 Red Sox games in total. Wow. I'm gonna count how many Yankee games I've been to. So 1 in 2012. I'm actually gonna write this down now that we're at it.
I gotta write mine down too.
Yes. So Yankees. So I'm 1-0. 2012 against the Angels. 2013 against the Jays. That's a win. 2014 against the Reds. That's a win. Got my first loss on opening day, 2016. 2017 got another loss against the Jays at home. 2018, I went to 3 different games, at least in my knowledge. I went on my birthday when J-Hap was pitching. That's a 4th win there. I went against the Braves that year. Yeah, I went against the Braves that year. The Yankees won that day. I don't remember what I was going for. So I want to say 2 or 3 games that year. Then the following year, we had the Old Timers game, which was a loss. The 19-5 game, which was bad, loss. And then the one game we won that year, at least that I went to, turned us to 6-4 because Aaron Boone got ejected. It was against Kansas City. 2018, 2019, I already went over. Nothing in 2020, of course. 2021, Kansas City Royals. That's a win. I didn't go to any Astro games that year. No. I feel like there's one more I'm missing. There is. I can't. It's in the back of my head. Oh, against the Guardians, Indians, whatever you want to call them. So that's 8-4. And then you move to this year. Opening day against the Red Sox. 9-4. Against the Guardians, 10-4. No hitter. That's 10-5. Nasty Nestor night, 10-6. Mariners game, that's 11-6. Reds game, 11-7. There's one more game. Derek Jeter game. So my record is 11-8. I've been to 19 Yankee games.
Okay. I think I have all mine. I might be missing a couple. That's a lot of Yankee games, by the way. That's very impressive. Yes. My first Red Sox game was in 2016, and it was against the Indians. It was in Cleveland, and they opened in Cleveland that year in 2016, and the first game got rained out, and they postponed it to this day. I believe it was – I can't remember. I think it was August 15th. Of 2016, and it was one makeup day in the middle of the week, and I was there seeing family and didn't even know the Red Sox were in town. I'm like, all right, let's go. So that was my first time seeing them, and got to see David Ortiz hit a home run. Got to see Dustin Pedroia. And 2018, I saw 3 games in Arizona. I believe it was opening series for the Diamondbacks. Red Sox won 2, got walked off by Christian Walker in one of those games. So I am now 3-1. 2019, I saw 2 games in San Diego, and the Red Sox won both of those. and lost the third game. I was not at that day game. They lost, so I'm 5-1 at this point, and nothing in 2020. Obviously, 2021. I don't believe I saw the Sox last year, and this year I saw 2 games in Anaheim. One being the Michael Wacha complete game, and they won both of those. So I'm 7-1 at Sox games.
Wow. Quite interesting. But yeah, I've been to almost 20 Yankee games.
That's insane. I've been to countless. I mean, Padres and Diamondbacks games. I've been to probably 50 ball games.
I feel like this was the year I went to the most Yankee games. So we got the 2 against the Astros, 1 against the Mariners, 1 against the Reds, 1 against the Sox, and 1 against the Rays. So, and I've said this before, the only division I've never, ever seen a game the Yankees go against is the NL West.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that.
Yep. All opponents in the AL East. Not the White Sox, not the Tigers. I think I'm missing one team. And I didn't see them play against the Twins. Shout out to Jeff in the chat. Feel free to plug your channel, my man. Go subscribe to NYGJeffET85. Let's see. So, what the hell was I just talking about?
Yankees games.
Yes, and goddamn, I just lost my train of thought. Shit, man. Anyway,
well, I will throw in there. I got to see in 2018, the year the Sox won the World Series.
I remember now, but I'll let you go.
Go ahead. Actually, no. Go ahead before you forget again.
Oh yeah. So I didn't nothing against the Tigers, nothing against the Twins, nothing against the White Sox. The West, let's see. Never seen a game against the A's, never against the Rangers. NL East, never against the Mets, never against the Nationals, never against the Phillies, never against the Marlins. Central, never against the Cards, never against the Brewers, never against the Pirates, never against the Cubs. Though I could have went to a Cubs game against the Yankees, but I didn't. Then nothing in the NL West. So I'm gonna add those teams up. See if I've done all those teams. Like,
how many ballparks have you been to?
At least half the league.
How many ballparks have you been to?
2. All of them in New York.
Damn. Okay.
Alex would forget his head if it's not permanently attached. Jesus. So that's 2 in that division, 3 in the West. Let's see. 1 in the East and 1 in the Central. So that's 2. Plus 2 equals 4. 4 plus 3 equals 7 plus 5. So almost half the league. 18 ballparks for Tony. What was I going to say? I have been to 2 Celtics games, 1 Patriots game, and 2 Bruins games. That's a nice, diverse list. I could officially say that I've done games in all 4 major sports, though. 9 ballparks for me.
I think I've done a game in all 4 sports too.
All the games. If we went to home games, hey, here's something neither of you have heard before. Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney are out again. Well, I mean, to be fair, Jeff, Galladay, not surprising, not like he was a factor. And Toney, it's just like changing my underwear. I know I have to do it.
Yeah.
It's like getting up in the morning and I don't know.
Brushing your teeth.
I was going somewhere and I just crashed with it.
It's brushing your teeth. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, Kadarius, unfortunately, that's old news, but thank you for obviously reminding me, Jeff. Big Papi is the GOAT.
Yes, he is.
Alex is the king of rain delays or rain during Yankee games. That's happened to me 3 times. Opening day against the Astros, I had to wait another day. Opening day against the Sox, had to wait another day. And then it was raining while my birthday, it was 2018. I turned 15. It was raining that day, but they didn't stop the game for nothing. When I was on the orange line tee going back to Sylvain Sauer. It's back to my dad's truck to go home. There was a Raptors fan because he was going to TD Garden to see the Raptors versus the Celtics. Yeah, I mean, fans are all over. We should send the new subscriber a bingo card for Boys in the Big Apple. Tony's already got bingo. Which it's interesting. Oh shit, that's after 10. Hide your slippers, Alex. Well, funny enough, I don't have any slippers on. Yeah, it's apparently it's a law in New York that you can't wear slippers after 10 p.m.
What?
Yeah.
Is it because the monster rats will come and eat your feet?
It makes sense if you have to wear slippers after 10 p.m., but it's actually the direct opposite.
Shout out to Cooper, man. I'll give you one chance to ask or to guess who you think this jersey, whose name's on the back. I bet you'll never guess it.
All Boston fans are so good for cheering their teams. Love that Red Sox jersey. Shit, Alex is going to. Alex is a young boy, hasn't he? I have kissed a girl yet. Yes, I just haven't done everything else.
Leave the guy alone.
How is that illegal? I'm sorry, Cooper. I don't have an answer for you. He says Bogarts.
Unfortunately, it is. And I do have a City Connect, the yellow Bogarts. This is Andrew Benintendi.
I hate those City Connect jerseys.
I know, but I mean, how can I not get one of those? They're so clean looking once you get your hands on them.
Do they even have success in terms of winning with them?
No, I don't. I think they dropped their first game in them. They keep wearing them, though. I think the second to the last game they wore them. The fans love them, man. I don't know what it is.
Sounds like the Giants color rush jerseys.
It's like it's something to do with the connection over the Boston Marathon because they were representing those blue and yellow during that time, and it just kind of hits home for Sox fans, I guess.
Sentimental, yeah.
Yeah.
But just to go through before we get to our other stuff, obviously Yankees games. I've also been to 2 Mets games. Football, I've been to a Giants game and a Jets game each. Basketball, I've seen 2 Knicks games, and then I've seen 1 Ranger game.
Football, I've seen, my first game was in 2006, I believe. My dad took me to see the Browns and Cardinals in Arizona. I don't really remember it because I was really young. And my second NFL game ever was the Giants and Chargers when Justin Herbert made the best throw of his life. And they beat the hell out of the Chargers last year. I mean, the Giants. Yeah.
What about hockey and basketball?
Basketball, I've been to countless NBA games. I saw the Lakers and Grizzlies play in LA a few years back before LeBron was on the team. So I'm thinking, what was that, 2017, 2018? I've been to countless Suns games. My mom used to take me once a year. The Celtics would come to Arizona. So that was our one chance to go down there. So growing up, I went and saw them once a year. Got to see Shaq on the Celtics. Got to see Rondo, my boy KG and Pierce. I got to see them a few times. That's about it for NBA. And then NHL, I saw the Red Wings. My grandpa was a huge Detroit Red Wings fan, so we saw them in Arizona as well. So I've been to quite a few sporting events now that I start to think about
it. I've only been to 1 NFL game. Skins, Texans. Texans came back from 24-3 to win 27-24. Skins are really bad right now. They look terrible. RIP Jerry Remy, 1952, 2021. Tough loss, definitely. No, I can't say that I enjoyed his, but he was a good commentator. I'll put it at that.
Yeah, he was a good commentator for sure, and a really good guy, man. You don't get that all the time. Like these new guys coming in, Maz, and I love Euclid, but it's not the same, man. It's really not.
All right. Keep those questions coming and all that stuff. Before we go into our playoff predictions and all that, worst or best acquisition?
Are we going to do worst and best?
Actually, hold on. Yeah, I mean, depends. If you would like to go that route, I think that'd be good.
The worst, I'm going to have to go with Trevor Story. We could have taken him for for the most disappointing player, but I think for the acquisition, I'm going to take Story there on that one. We expected a lot out of him, and he's still, he still hit up in the high 200s, and it was quiet, but it wasn't fireworks, and that's what we wanted from Trevor Story. We wanted him to hit the ball over the monster. We'll see what he does, but not the greatest acquisition there, and we'll see where it goes, man.
So I just watched that Nyheim Hines thing, and that's not good to look at.
I want to see it.
We'll obviously wait a few minutes. We'll go into our MLB predictions, and then that's like one of the first things I do want to break into. Tony's got a good question. Have the Giants made any announcement about a quarterback this Sunday? They haven't signed another one, which means Daniel Jones is likely playing.
Yeah.
Did I expect that? No.
No.
But, hey, listen, it gives us a chance to win in London. Can't wait till it's February 25th for MLB spring training. I want to go to MLB spring training this year. And, yeah, during spring break. I don't know when it is this year for my college, but with the crew from NYY News TV, that's one place I'd like to hit.
Yeah, and that's something that we talked about it. I was lucky enough to grow up going to spring training down in the valley in Arizona too. So got to, get up close and personal. I remember being right next to Prince Fielder, like right next to him. Really cool memories.
Let's see. You obviously said worst was Trevor Story. Did you mention your best?
No. I'm going to harp on that for a second. If you got your guys ready, I'm going to think about that best acquisition.
So worst, I would probably have to say Josh Donaldson, because solely he was brought for good defense. He's getting paid $25 million, and he's got zero power. He hits the ball up. Like, literally, we're going to pull out the bat segment again. This is literally what he does. He goes up, not line drive, up. He pops it up, and he's never, at least this season, fixed that swing. Maybe once or twice, but other than that, nothing permanent. So Josh Donaldson is my most disappointing, I would say bad acquisition. Because once again, $25 million. We gave up on Correa to go out and get this guy, and he was weird, But hopefully he lights up in the postseason. I'd love to be wrong about him. Best acquisition, Jose Trevino. I'm not even going to give credit to Cashman because his own fuck up caused that acquisition that I'm still not going to forgive him for. But he was a pretty good catcher this year, and he was an all-star. 4 months without the Red Sox. Yeah, listen, it's a little bit easier if you're a football fan, and if you're just a guy like I used to be, who was only a one-sport dude, it's like legit tough.
Right.
And I wasn't even that much into baseball as I am now, and I always say this. I learn more every year. I get more into it every year. But it's tough if you're only a baseball fan and you don't watch some of the other sports. It's kind of tough where, if you're just a guy that loves football and baseball together, it kind of, baseball takes you a long way, ends the season. That's where football heats up. And then, a week and a half later after the Super Bowl is spring training revving up. So,
yeah.
And then you got free agency and all these other different things for the off season.
Yeah.
So have you decided on the best acquisition?
Yeah. I mean, I hate to go with, this guy 3 times, but is Waka not the best acquisition for the Red Sox this year? Without him, without his 11 wins on the hill, it would have been really ugly. It would have been last place long ago, probably halfway through summer. So you just don't see those numbers from a guy on the Sox this year, especially with those wins, especially with the bullpen, blowing games all the time. It's impressive. So I'll go with Michael Waka.
All right, so let's break into, before we hit our football segment, the NFL scores scare me with how they aren't handling. The NFL scares me with how they aren't handling player injuries seriously and just keep putting these guys out there easily getting hurt again. Yeah, as I said, I looked at that Nyheim Hines thing from tonight, and that's scary. I mean, we all saw how Daniel Jones looked after he got hit last year by the Cowboys, right? He was literally wobbling.
Yeah.
Only to put him out on the field later.
And he hurt his neck after that.
Yes, he hurt his neck later on. Just give me 1 second because this is A new device.
You might be. I mean, I might be the only one, but the injuries are going to happen. I don't care where you hit it, guys. I think they're trying to be too safe, in my opinion.
I believe they're focusing on the wrong things, if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah. I mean, the target zone taking away head hits. Now guys are getting injured in the knees and the ankles. It's going to happen. You're playing a violent sport.
And I said this before. J.C. Treader last year tried campaigning with the NFLPA. Oh, we don't need preseason.
Right.
This, that, and the other thing, whatever. And meanwhile, they should have been campaigning for grass instead of turf.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, countless people lose their legs, literally, to turf at MetLife Stadium. But
yeah.
Let's break into these postseason predictions. I do want to go for one more comment. Also, they showed a mini video when ECK played in the MLB. Eck is a Red Sox for life. He's talking about Dennis Eckersley.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's break into this. So we'll start with the American League. Sox, who do you think is winning between the Jays and the Mariners in that wild card matchup?
I thought about this one for a minute. That's going to be an interesting matchup. Now, it's no longer one game. I don't know if everybody knows that already, but it's a little mini series here. And I really think I'm going to take Seattle to move on and go play Houston.
So you're picking Seattle.
Yes. Seattle's going to get the upset.
I'm taking Seattle too. I think pitching is going to be a big factor. So Tony and Cooper do have the Blue Jays, so duly noted. Guardians Rays.
AL East is
before you I don't mean to interrupt. How do the Guardians have more wins than the Rays?
They do?
According to this, yeah, the Guardians have 92 wins and the Rays have 86.
I know they got hot, man. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win that one in probably 3 games. It's going to be a good series. I think the offense is going to be a little bit too much for Cleveland's pitching.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take Tampa Bay Rays as well. Cooper says he's got Cleveland, even though Sox will be rooting for Cleveland as well.
Yes.
Tony's got the Rays. Now we move on to the National League. The Mets and the Padres.
I'm taking the Padres, man. They're kind of my hometown team now. So they're the team that I'll probably be rooting for now. Now that we're looking at it, I'm going to change my answer that I gave you earlier and root for the Padres in this playoffs.
Okay. I'm going to take the Padres as well. I know it's going to be a hometown crowd for the Mets and all this momentum and hype because they've been this seems like a kind of a real feel year. But the fact that DeGrom and Scherzer didn't pitch well against the Braves in one of those last series of the season, it's not really a telling tell. That's a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Padres. And then finally, the Cards against the Phillies.
I think the Cardinals, riding high on the Pujols and Molina stuff. That plays a big part of this. Phillies are juiced making the playoffs. Cardinals win in 3.
I do agree. I'll take the Cardinals, pretty much agreeing on most, if not all. So Cardinals. Now, Astros-Mariners.
Astros-Mariners, going to be a good series. I think Houston's playoff experience pushes them through to the next round. Pitching is going to be key. Seattle's offense probably doesn't keep up with that pitching staff.
So you're taking Houston.
Houston.
I'm taking Houston as well. All right, I want to get some comments here. So Tony is the Mets. Tony is the Cards. Cooper says, I got the Mets because my uncle and my aunt got married this past September, and my uncle's cousin's favorite team is the Mets. I got St. Louis, and he also got Houston. And then Tony's got the Jays going back to he's rooting for the Jays. Which, once again, I find very interesting. But, they're technically birds, so I guess we could call them that. If any similarities at all. Tampa Bay and the Yankees.
My heart says to pick the Rays just because, why? I think the Yankees are going to pull it off. Move on to the next round. The offense is too good, riding high on the Judge situation. Pitching is going to be huge question for the Yankees going in, and got to get some good outings from your starters, but I think they'll do it.
So Tony's actually going with the Rays. Cooper's going with the Yankees. I'm going with the Yankees. I think it's going to be tough. I think it could be, what is it usually, 5-6 games? The division series. So it's going to be tough. I feel like the Rays are going to have this different postseason energy. The Yankees will try to outsmart them. The Rays will try to outsmart the Yankees. It's going to be a big nerd test for those analytics geeks. But I'm taking the Yankees. Next up for the National League, the Dodgers and the Padres.
Man, if that actually happens, what a matchup, the dirty, nasty matchup that's going to be. Those two fan bases hate each other. The Padres simply cannot win against the Dodgers. If that happens, the Dodgers will beat the brakes off the Padres.
You got the Dodgers, Tony Cooper says. LA. I'm taking the Dodgers. Cardinals, Braves.
That would be very interesting as well. I'm so hyped for these playoffs, Alex. I'm just so juiced.
I'm thinking about, it's not going to be on any streaming platform, so it's going to be tough for us to obviously get in sync, knowing that you're on the West Coast and you got a different system than I do. But I was thinking maybe call a few games.
Yes, we should call a few games if our schedules can do that for sure. I'm going to take the Braves in this series.
So we got the chat taking the Cards. I'm taking the Braves as well. Postseason momentum, they love it, and they got experience in it too.
Yeah.
With that being said, Astros, Yankees.
That's tough. I think the playoff experience helps Houston a lot. The offense from New York is going to be tough to handle. I mean, it really is. I'm gonna take the Yankees. I really am.
Really?
As much as it pains me to say, I really think that they can catch momentum here in these playoffs and at least make it to the World Series, if not win it.
Okay. Tony says Blue Jays. Funny guy. Cooper says Albert Pujols should win a World Series before he retires. That would be poetic justice. I mean, imagine if the Angels were in the playoffs and that happened.
Yeah.
Winning against the Angels, technically, a wasted career. Well, then again,
wouldn't he get his ring, though, since he was on the team?
What do you mean?
Was he not on the team in the beginning of the year?
He was on the team. I feel like, I don't know, because he was with the Dodgers for a little bit. But I'm saying if the Cardinals were to beat the Angels.
I see.
He's got Houston. I'm going to take Houston as well. But Sox's Yankees pick is duly noted. I don't think the Yankees will be ready for Houston. I think there's a possibility they have one or two blow-up starts, and it just goes downhill from there. The Yankees have trouble hitting them. Justin Verlander is, has been really good this year, Cy Young candidate, and they got some really nice arms. So, and also Jose Altuve is still a factor over there, and he still bites us in the ass. Braves, Dodgers.
Braves. I think the Dodgers, the Mickey Mouse World Series they won was cool and all, but they choke in the playoffs notoriously, and they're going to do it again.
All right, so Cooper has L.A., and I'm going to go with L.A., though, once again, Sox's objection is duly noted. I think L.A.'s on a mission here. They won the most games in MLB, whatever, and that could burn you in the playoffs. The Guardians had a winning streak, as we mentioned, a few years ago. But I think the Dodgers are on a mission here. Try to prove, everybody wrong about, the Mickey Mouse World Series. We got cheated out in this, that, and the other thing. So Astros, Dodgers. If this was the World Series, who would you pick?
If this
and
was the
I'll also make it a little bit fair too. If it was Astros Braves, who would you? If it would your matchup is Yankees Braves.
Yeah.
So if you want to go with that matchup and then the matchup we have on the screen.
With my matchup, I think the Braves win it. They really smell
that.
that blood. So, but I really truly do think the Yankees can catch some momentum if they have a big series against Tampa Bay, going in there winning that first game against Houston. You never know what could happen. If it's Houston and LA, I'm gonna take the Houston Astros, man. I just don't know. I don't trust LA. I really don't. I don't trust their pitching. I don't see their offense doing too much, especially in a big situation like this against good pitching. So Houston will do it, I think.
I'm going to take the Dodgers. As I said, I think the mission is there for the Dodgers. I think they're going to want to prove everybody wrong. They got some real good talent. And once again, I think they'll win. So, get some more comments here. There is more stuff we got to go through, of course, with this bracket because they obviously try to make you win less money or have, you get at chances, win less money or just have the less probability to win. Hopefully, crap, this football game sucks. Russ just made an idiotic throw. You let Russ cook all right. Yeah, I mean, that game looks like trash. 2 washed quarterbacks, possibly. Russ just made an idiotic throw. Blue Jays in 7 over LA. If they got past, let's see. If the Blue Jays ever got past the Yankees in the ALCS, I would cry. I got LA winning the World Series because David Price needs to win another World Series before he retires. I feel like he retired already. Or he's going to retire after the season. Okay, so he may retire after 2022. So he hasn't officially retired yet. But to be fair, what was I going to say? To be fair, he's always been our son. He's always been the Yankees' son, David Price. Mets over Padres. Let's go. Oh, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, 9-6. I don't trust Broncos on primetime. I seriously hope that they don't have another primetime game. Then again, the NFL with Russell Wilson and stuff like that. I hope they get flexed out, honestly. Yeah, they got a Sunday night football matchup against the Chiefs. That's going to be, real entertainment right there. And I think that's it. But yeah. So they also don't play on Thanksgiving, but once again, one more primetime game.
Cowboys.
Yes, that's going to be very interesting. I'll send you.
Are you
going to
be with family for that?
I am not congested. I'm actually not congested, and if I obviously, Kleenex. I'm an idiot, Tony. He was referring to my comment about crying because the Blue Jays, if they would ever beat the Yankees in the CS, but I definitely got a lot of tissues. But I would appreciate the gift. My favorite teams are the Patriots, Red Sox, Celtics, and Bruins, all Boston. So. Not surprised with that. So we're going to submit our picks, and then here is all the questions we have to answer, which will make us obviously less probability to win. In addition to filling out your bracket, you must also predict the number of games that will be played in the 2022 World Series. Obviously, maximum of 7. I'm going to say 7.
7.
All right, so it's 7. Tiebreaker questions. How many home runs do you think will be recorded in the 2022 postseason series? Now, just so we don't go out of the blue, we're going to take a look at the 2021 postseason home runs. How many were there?
What's your guess, first of all?
How many home runs were hit last year's postseason?
My guess is 13.
Only 13.
Or no, my guess is 17.
30. Okay, so obviously I haven't gotten a fucking answer yet. Thank you, Google.
I think Tony
not postseason leaders. I want to know how many home runs were hit in the postseason. How many home runs were hit in the 2021 postseason? And it's still not giving me a fucking answer. If anyone can find that. So is this a guess, Tony, or is this the actual answer? So he says 26.
Knowing Tony, that's probably the right answer.
Yeah, because Tony does a lot of nice research for us. I want to see this. This is a stat that should be recorded. If He says 100. Wow. Like if you're gonna make people guess, at least have the stats out there. But I guess that's on purpose,
That's the
right?
answer.
It is the answer. Okay, so 26 last year. Sox, how many do you think will be hit this postseason?
You know, I'm gonna take the under if we're gonna say that 26. I don't know if that
Really?
helps at all. Yeah, I don't know. I think pitching dominates in this postseason. Besides the Yankees lineup, you have Seattle. They don't hit a ton of bombs. You have Houston. They don't hit a ton of bombs. St. Louis, Philadelphia. Philadelphia could get hot at any moment. I'll take 24 home runs. That'd be my answer.
All right, we'll plug in 24. How many runs do you think will be scored during the entire 2022 World Series? Now, that's something I could definitely look up. The 2021 World Series between the Astros and the Braves, total of, 45 runs were scored in a total of 6 games. The Braves had 25 and the Astros had 20. What are we thinking?
What are you thinking?
So in my World Series, it's Astros Dodgers. I'm going to go 40.
I think that's fair.
40 is fair. Right now, I got to enter all this stuff, which, again, some of this stuff is on social media, so you guys probably already know it. Submit my picks. Okay. Got to remember me. And they submitted. Okay, so the entry is submitted.
Win $1 million.
Yay! They purposely teased us out of it, of course. Most home runs will be in the NL. That's definitely facts. I'm gonna say 51-7. That's possibly a good one. And then Cooper says 50. So we'll definitely revisit this at the end of the World Series.
Yeah.
But time to finish out with our final subject. We could talk about injuries as we go, but our picks. So I'll update you guys on the bracket, as if I get these fucking ads out of my face. So not the bracket, but the records. So this season, I have to go on my other computer to get this going.
We should put something on the line next year when we start fresh.
Yes. So the records this season for me and Sox. Sox has a record of 27-21, and I have a record of 19-29. So Sox is better by 8 games because I did horrendously within the first 2 weeks, but that's the NFL.
Wait, so is that our
goddamn
record
ads.
through 3 weeks?
4.
Through 4, okay.
Chris Sale got injured during the MLB season a few different times, and he had to miss the rest of the season. Yep.
Yeah.
Go Sox, Arizona. All right.
I'm the money line monster, Tony. I'm telling you, once you put a spread in there, I'm horrible at betting, but I can tell you who's going to win.
All right. So I'm not going to put it up yet. I do want to erase my picks, even though I said I would take Denver on Monday on Boys in the Big Apple, which is another show y'all should catch, 8:10 p.m. on Mondays. All right. So we're going to share the screen here. All right. I'm also going to pull up the betting odds, which I think is very important. All right. So for this game coming in, did you have a pick
for tonight?
For tonight?
Yes, I did. I was going to take Indianapolis.
Wow. Okay. I, on record, had the Broncos. So right now that looks to be a 1-0 for me. I did 0-1 for Sox, but the game is very boring right now, so I guess it could take any turn. But also, it looks like there's a possibility that the game will tie because it's 9-6 and the Colts are in field goal range. So that could go anyway. As I said, very boring game. So obviously I'll take Denver. Miami and the Jets. As for that game in the betting odds, Miami is 3.5-point favorites. They will be starting Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, while the Jets will start Zach Wilson for a second straight game.
Dolphins.
Give me the Jets. The Jets
I
don't
I
really
feel
have
like
home field advantage, but I'm still taking it.
yeah. I don't know. I might be crazy, but and call me crazy, but I like Flacco back there calling the plays, running the show. I don't know if he's that much. If Zach Wilson's that much better than Joe Flacco.
All right. So the next matchup we got here, Jets, Hill and Waddle may be out. Yes, they are on the injury report. Pittsburgh, Buffalo. The odds in terms of the betting, well, Buffalo's 14-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to take Buffalo to win. I'm not sure if they'll cover.
Yeah, give me Buffalo as well. Houston in Jacksonville. We're talking about Tony's team.
Yeah, you know what? I think Jacksonville wins a really close game here at home.
Jacksonville is 7-point favorites, and I'm taking Jacksonville, so I align with Sox. A lot of home field wins. Chargers in Cleveland. I'm taking the Chargers.
I'm taking the Chargers.
In terms of betting odds for that game, the Chargers are 2.5-point favorites. Next game, Bengals in Baltimore. As for the betting odds, Baltimore is 3-point favorites after losing to Buffalo last week.
I'm going to take the home team, Baltimore Ravens. They're going to get a couple picks off Joey Burrow.
Cooper's got the Bengals. Tony's got the Chargers. Cooper's got the Chargers. Cooper's got the Texans. Tony is picking against his team. Buffalo for Tony. And then Pittsburgh for Cooper. Even though last year, you go on record with this, Buffalo was upset by Pittsburgh in the opening game.
Yes.
And then Bengals for both of these guys. Kansas City is hosting the Raiders on Monday Night Football. The betting odds for that one, it's 7-point favorites for the Chiefs.
Watch out for a Raiders upset. I'm calling it right now.
You're not the only one with that one, but it's not going to be me. I'm taking.
Yeah, no, the run game right now looks really good with Oakland. I feel like they were trying to go too much with David Carr. They got the weapons. You got Renfro, you got Adams. Take it easy. You can still run the ball a little bit. You got a baller back there. I think they're going to control the game a little bit.
All right, so Cooper has the Chiefs. Detroit going in against the Patriots, and the Patriots, as far as we know, will be starting Bailey Zapp once again. Also, Tony says Kansas City.
Very interesting fact. I'm sure some of you guys know about the Detroit Lions is that they lead the league, the entire NFL in games, points per game this year. They lead the NFL in total points scored this season, and they are 1-3. So it's really unfortunate how they're losing games. I think they're going to take the upset on the road this week.
Their defense is not very good. That's why.
No.
But it's interesting to see the offensive production. But you are taking the Lions, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the Lions right now are 3-point underdogs with them losing against the Seahawks and the Patriots losing against the Packers. Detroit wins running game, both combined for 350 yards rushing. You can see that. Cooper's got the Patriots. So I'm actually going to take the Patriots for, an upset in most eyes, but in terms of the betting odds, it's not really an upset. Yeah. Tennessee and Washington. Washington right now, I believe, is a 1.5-point underdog.
I'm going to take Washington to win.
Wow. Okay. So your objection is duly noted. I'm actually going to go ahead and take the Tennessee Titans. I wouldn't be surprised overall, though, if there's an upset. Shouts to the man, Jeff Nelson. Are you guys watching the dumpster fire they call football? Wow, 9-9 in overtime, and the fans are leaving. I've kept track of it. We were literally just talking about it a few minutes ago, but those are two teams that really should not be on primetime. Not at all.
No.
I don't know who thought that was a good matchup coming into the year. Obviously, that person should be fucking fired.
It's just because of Russell Wilson. That's the only reason.
Right, and whoever thought Matt Ryan was going to be rejuvenated in Indianapolis. I think the Giants can win against the Colts, though, later in the season.
I think so, too.
When they're at home. I might be going to that game, possibly. Because I know Donald is coming up late December, and that's when that game is. It's actually on New Year's Day. So.
Oh, you know what? You know what I was going to tell you about that? I have a friend that's a diehard Colts fan, and with my work schedule, I can't get that time of year off. It's like that is busy,
especially
busy
January
season.
1st.
It's ridiculous. But he was like, man, let's go to this game, Week 17, Colts Giants. I'm like, if it was any time other than that, I would do it. But that's crazy that you should go to that game.
Definitely. So Cooper's got the Titans. Tony's got Washington. Then we got some more Sunday morning football. Yes, that's going to be the next one, the Giants and the Packers. Another NFL tie, possibly. Let me see what's going on there. So end of the fourth, end of regulation. The dispensaries close at 10. All right. I know what Sox is going to do here because he tells us every week. But the Giants in Green Bay, Daniel Jones looking like he's going to play. 3-1, both teams. This is the first time in any of the London series matchups that both teams come in with a winning record.
Giants win.
I'm going to disagree. But then again, I'm
you can't
1-1
be picking
when
against
I
your Giants, Alex. Come on. You cannot be picking against your team every week.
Hey, listen, to be fair, I've picked against my team twice. Green Bay destroys, wins by 17. I think it's going to be 10 points, to be fair. I think it's going to be 10, 14 points. But I'm taking Green Bay. I've disagreed with Sox twice on the New York Giants. And I've won once and I've lost once. Lost once in week 1, won once in week 3. Not that I would want to be right about my Giants losing, of course. So the Giants in that game, I think they're like 8.5-point underdogs. 8-point underdogs, to be fair.
The offense, the offense just has to get it together. They have to, man.
Well, unfortunately, DJ has nobody to throw to but Saquon, I guess. And they give up a lot of runs on defense.
Yeah.
In terms of the Packers. Chicago in Minnesota. Minnesota's coming off of a London win. They head home. They are 7.5-point favorites. The Bears coming off a loss to the Giants.
That's going to be interesting because I feel like teams don't play well near that London part of the schedule, especially after. I really want to see the Bears win, and I'm going to take them with an upset.
All right. Cooper's also got the Bears. I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. Next game, Seahawks, Saints. The Saints currently are 5.5-point favorites.
Okay. That's interesting.
Tony's got Minnesota.
I think the Saints are going to win.
I'm going to pick the Saints as well.
I'm going to regret taking all these home teams, I think.
Trust me, it's going to go into our losing record, but fucking sure.
Yeah.
Falcons in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is currently 9.5-point favorites.
Put in the books, Tampa.
Yeah. Tony says, who cares about the Seahawks Saints? Boring. I feel like it's going to be a real defensive battle for some reason. Cooper's got the Falcons. Cooper's got the Falcons. He also has the Saints, and then Tony has Tampa Bay. Panthers are hosting the Niners. Niners coming off a win on Monday Night Football. Panthers coming off a loss to the Cardinals. The Panthers currently are 6.5-point underdogs.
I'll take this is one of my road team's victories here. Partly because I need Jimmy Garoppolo to give me a lot of points in fantasy. But honestly, I think the Niners are underrated with him at the quarterback with all that drama going on with Trey Lance. He's a good quarterback. He's a starting quarterback. And you don't know what you're going to get from Baker. He could throw a couple picks. So I think the Niners win.
RG3 just said on Twitter, we all deserve a free month of Amazon Prime for watching this game.
That's a good point.
I agree. So Cooper and Tony say 49ers. I'm going to take the Niners as well. This I'm telling you guys, though, this could be an upset game. And I know Panthers fans, some of them at least, don't want that because they want Matt Rule fired. Interesting matchup here. The Cowboys, they're red hot with Cooper Rush. And then the Rams. Matt Stafford's playing a little hurt. He hasn't been playing well. Coming off a Monday night loss. But they're back home against the Cowboys with Cooper Rush.
Rams.
The Rams currently are 5.5-point favorites. I don't think it should be that close. That distanced in terms of the points. I'm going to go ahead and take the Rams. And then finally, to wrap it up, The Eagles at the Cards. The Cards are currently 5-point underdogs.
That's tough. The battle of the birds, as they say. Growing up in Arizona, this is always a big one. And by the way, the Eagles are the only logo in the NFL that faces the left, which you can tell there. It's kind of interesting. The Eagles are going to win this game, unfortunately. They play well in Arizona historically, I believe. It'll be a close game, probably something crazy at the last play.
So now that you said that, I want to look it up because somebody said, let's see. Somebody said the opposite that you just said, that they don't play well in Arizona. So let's take a look at past years.
You know what? I could be wrong.
So in 2020, the Cardinals won. And that was in Arizona. I'm only speaking in Arizona. Eagles in Arizona in 2014. The Cardinals won. The Cardinals won in 2012. The Cardinals won in 2009. The Cardinals won in 2005. The last time the Eagles beat the Cardinals was in 2001. And that's in Arizona, of course. Guess what? The Eagles are going to get their first loss.
Does it tell you there? Was it a playoff game? Because I feel I remember Donovan McNabb playing in Arizona and just going off.
That was not a playoff game.
No.
Though, I want to say McNabb may have been with them in 2009. That was a playoff game.
Okay. And the Cardinals won that game.
Cardinals won that game. It was 32-25.
Okay. Did I make my pick for that already? That game?
You said Eagles.
Okay, I'll take the Eagles.
Okay, so Eagles. Cooper Rush is the new Brady. Cowboys all the way. Cooper's got the Eagles. Cooper's got the Cowboys. So Tony also said Jeff Wilson is a stud. So before we end out with closing thoughts, I'm going to give records week by week. I obviously gave you guys the records initially in terms of the totals. So week 1, I went 2-14 in my picks. Awful. Terrible. Sox Arizona went 7-9. Week 2, I went 8-8. Sox went 13-3.
Yes.
In week 3, I went 9-7. Sox went 7-9. And then in week 4, I went 9-7 for the second straight week. And then Sox Arizona went 10-6. So that compiles to a record of me being 19-29, and then Sox being 27-21. So yeah, Sox, man. Final thoughts.
Yeah, tonight was fun, man. We had quite a few interesting topics there going into the whole journalism thing, and obviously baseball playoffs starting. It's gonna be fun. It's always a good time for sports right now. Here this October, the weather's changing a little bit. You can smell the football in the air. We'll see what we got here with the playoffs coming up. I hope for your sake that the Yankees play well. To be honest with you, I hope they go to the World Series. I just don't want them to win it, and that's how I feel. Go Padres in the NL. Honestly, to all my San Diego people, I hope they get a good win, a good playoff run for you guys, and the Giants are going to get a big win in London this week against the Packers. Make sure you get this Big Blue in the Bronx channel up there and subscribers, man. It's really, really close. We have a lot of fun on here. Big Blue does so much content, man. It's ridiculous. I don't know how you pump so much good stuff out, but make sure you guys share out the stream, all that stuff. Hit up my channel as well, even though we just do the podcast on here. It's a lot of fun coming on talking sports. Big B Reactions. We'll be dropping a bunch of videos on there soon. And that's all I got, man. We'll see you guys next week.
Alex kissed a girl and he liked the taste of her cherry chapstick. Was she wearing cherry chapstick? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Maybe not. I don't think it was cherry, though. I don't think it was cherry. That's, then again, too, it's kind of a stereotype, lipstick, all that stuff. But anyway, we're going to get out of here. Just a reminder, tomorrow night we will be doing a live stream for the Knicks Pacers preseason matchup. Luka and Donald will be the head ones on the call. I'll be in there as well. So be sure to tune into that. Even if you're not a basketball fan, tune in, hang out with us. We'll answer questions. Saturday's Big Blue in the Bronx podcast. premiering at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nothing on Sunday. Monday's the Boys in the Big Apple podcast. So that's going to be fun as always, and more fun, especially if the Mets lose, because John will come on and rant about the Mets again. Tuesday will be Big Blue in the Bronx podcast. NYY News TV Twinville is on Wednesday. And also, once again, MLB playoffs start next week. But it's a Katy Perry song. Well, I've heard Katy Perry songs. I can't talk tonight. But I'm not familiar with which one that is. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff to the channels in the description. Big Beat Reactions, NYY News TV, Nerding Out Sports, Pinstripe Chronicles. There's a lot of channels. Make sure you hit up the subscribe button. It takes just a moment of your time. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool. Have a good night. And I don't know that you should waste your time watching Thursday Night Football. Anyway, peace.